would rather not face. On the left, the police rendering aid to people in a crowd while they were still actively breaking the law. On the right, police treating black and brown people and other BLM supporters.
If this was black people, these would be dead bodies.
Now, while some of the federal response in the moments and the hours of that Capitol insurrection did stem from the political agenda of the president in charge at the time, I want to tell you tonight's news includes an ongoing double standard that persists even though, as everyone knows, there's a new president and administration in charge. And the reason is important. If you hear nothing else tonight, hear this. The reason has to do with the very substantive point pressed by so many Black Lives Matter protesters over this last year and so many other legal experts. If the problem we're dealing with is truly systemic, then only deep changes to the underlying system will make true improvements, not the election or changing of a single person, even one as important as the president. Now look at the examples that continue to come out as news tonight. Examples that relate to double standards in the law and how prosecutors and judges apply it. And these are not things one president can change overnight. That's not my point. But you have to understand what's happening to then decide in a democracy if you want to change it. And reforming federal laws could help. Consider first, as a comparison, the BLM protests in Washington this summer, last year, when, of course, no one ever trespassed into a Capitol. There were not dead officers, but D.C. police arrested 289 people there in one day of BLM protests, 427 over 4 days, while they made just 41 arrests on the day of the insurrection amidst a national security breach that the U.S. hadn't seen since 1812. Even if you take the larger count of arrests outside the Capitol, it would hit 68, but 41 at that Capitol violent attack itself. Now, you can update the number to 181 arrests, still relatively low when you look at the thousands involved on tape. And 1/3 of those are out on supervised release. They're walking free. If you take a broader look, there are many well-documented racial disparities that persist now in use of force. Black people more likely to be shot by police than their, quote, white peers. The kind of fact driving the outcry at a racial double standard of the Capitol Police in the insurrection. And laws that can be written as general rules are being enforced now since January 6th to discriminate. An example is a Florida town that's been patrolling dueling BLM and Proud Boys protests, but, quote, police started enforcing a rarely used noise ordinance only for Black Lives Matter protesters, not conservative protesters, at the very same site. In that story, I want to show you something tonight. This is since the insurrection, and here is the mayor there admitting the racial disparity.
We talked with Newport Richie's mayor. Here's who he's putting the onus on.
The Black Lives Matter people ratcheted up the volume. It attracted some of the people from the other extreme of the spectrum.
What you have there is a journalist explaining these were mostly peaceful protests, and the mayor explaining that after he saw that there were basically Black Lives Matter protesters and then counter-protesters, that's his defense for, as the Post reports, only arresting the BLM protesters. Now, I should note, those charges were actually later dropped. Apparently, they didn't have much merit, but many other areas are now pushing more and new laws to patrol protests in ways that would actually increase the systemic injustices that I'm reporting on for you. Now, take another case stemming from January 6th, Jenny Cutt. She was in the Capitol during the insurrection, so she was on tape breaking federal law. She was arrested and charged for violent entry and disorderly conduct. She was released after that, so she's walking free, and now she's planning a trip to Mexico, asking a judge to do so. She calls it a work-related bonding trip, and she was on tape bragging about that alleged federal felony.
We did break down the Nancy Pelosi's office door, and somebody stole her gavel and took a picture sitting in the chair, flipping off the camera. I'm proud of everything that I was a part of today, and I'll be proud of everything that I'm a part of at the next one.
That's a confession of breaking an entry and a conspiracy to steal, and she's proud, but she wants to go somewhere like this and travel abroad in Mexico while she awaits trial. This is what she publicly thinks she is owed in our legal system. Time for a, quote, bonding trip, her words, in Mexico. And she expects to go because she is already out walking free on bond. That already happened. Contrast that to a story you may remember, Sandra Bland. Sandra Bland was a 28-year-old woman, black woman. She was pulled over for a routine traffic stop in 2015 in Texas. Why? Well, the allegation was she failed to signal for a lane change. That was literally why she was pulled over. Unlike some of these people indicted for the Capitol insurrection, she didn't get to walk free. She was arrested that day. She was taken into custody. She was jailed after that traffic stop, and she was held there for 3 days on the traffic stop. She later was found dead in her cell under what many thought were suspicious circumstances. Now, the officer involved in that stop, by the way, was fired. No one was convicted of wrongdoing. But this side-by-side contrast is crucial. It's happening now in America. It continues to happen. It is the context for something that is so much more systemic than one election or one bit of outrage or the stories people share sometimes about anecdotes. It's a system that continues to press unequal justice based on race, among other issues, and dares the rest of us to decide if we're ever going to do something about it. That's our report tonight, and for more perspective, we are now joined by Brittany Packnett-Cunningham. She's an activist and an MSNBC contributor. She served on President Obama's 21st Century Policing Task Force. She has been working and thinking through these issues for a long time. Thanks for being here tonight.
Certainly. Thanks for having me.
What do you think of that contrast?
I mean, for starters, we should be fair. White supremacy is probably very exhausting. And so she needs her vacation so she can carry her supremacy and her exposure to COVID-19 to a country full of Latinx folks that she probably wouldn't actually want to vacation, let alone immigrate to her country. But that being said, we have always known that there are two systems in this country. That is not new. You showed many clips of many people calling out this hypocrisy. We've seen this over multiple generations. You can ask the descendants of Emmett Till, who are still dealing with the defacement of his memorial every single year in the 21st century, just how long we've known that these two systems exist. To your point, the question is ultimately, what are we going to do about it systemically? Are we going to continue to fund and expand the budgets of the institutions that perpetuate those two systems, or are we going to keep looking the other way? I would say that we should actually start with rooting out this hypocrisy at the very top. Let's look at the United States Congress, because in my opinion, one of the greatest examples of that hypocrisy are the 147 Republicans who incited that very riot, who are walking around the Capitol complex right now as if nothing happened, as if those people were not there to do harm to their black and brown colleagues and there to upend democracy entirely. We have many opportunities to show exactly how we feel about this hypocrisy and, to your point, really do something about it.
When you see someone who expects to break that law, go in there, confess to it on camera, and then go to Mexico, what do you see as the level of systems and life experience that makes those expectations that are backed by the reality that there is disparate treatment? And a lot of people don't ever think they're going to be held in jail unfairly before a trial when you're presumed innocent. And again, as many have emphasized, if that is applied fairly to all, okay. But if Miss Bland was held there for a traffic stop and someone else is on a violent charge, then obviously something is awry.
Absolutely. I mean, we are all the product of our lived experiences and of our own environments. Black children grow up knowing the risk that can come with a single police encounter. We look at the young woman in Rochester, 9 years old, arrested, handcuffed, and pepper sprayed by those same police that killed Daniel Prude not just a few months ago. So these are the kinds of experiences that we grow up with, and those experiences become internalized. We learn those lessons very quickly. Similarly, the white white supremacists who rioted on the Capitol complex on January 6th, they watched Dylan Roof get a burger. They watched him be taken peacefully after executing parishioners in that Charleston church. They watched the folks generations ago declare that the people who killed Emmett Till were innocent and proven not guilty in their opinion. So when you've learned that over time, you carry with you the idea that what you can do will not actually be punishable by a system that was built for your very survival. So not only do these folks expect to be let out, they don't expect to be arrested in the first place. That's why they're taking videos and live streaming, walking around with no masks and nothing shielding their faces or identity, because they don't actually believe that punishment or accountability will come. This is an old tale. Again, what are we going to do about it? That change has to be fundamentally systemic, and reform is not going to be enough.
Brittany, I really appreciate this dialogue with you, and we're going to continue it, but again, with an emphasis on spotlighting and acting. So thank you, as always, for joining us on The Beat.
Thank you.
When we come back, we have a very special guest who has a say in the upcoming Senate trial of Donald Trump, while prosecutors preview what they call an airtight case. Stay with us.
Before discovering Nexium 24-Hour to treat her frequent heartburn, Marie could only imagine enjoying freshly squeezed orange juice. Now, no fruit is forbidden. Nexium 24-Hour stops acid before it starts for all-day, all-night protection. Can you imagine 24 hours without heartburn?
Got my hair, got my head, got my brains, got my ears, got my heart, got my soul, got my mouth.
Gillette Pro Glide. 5 blades and a pivoting flex ball designed to get virtually every hair on the first stroke. So you're ready for the day with a fresh face for a fresh start. For a limited time, get a 5th cartridge free.
Incomparable design makes it beautiful. State-of-the-art technology makes it brilliant. The visionary Lexus NX.
Lease the 2021 NX300 for $359 a month for 36 months.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Tell someone you're a financial advisor and they think you only work with money. But the most important part of my job is working with people, giving advice. Of course, I know the markets, but more importantly, I know my clients. I know what they're concerned about and what they're looking forward to. I give them personalized financial advice they can count on to help make it through today's challenges while staying focused on tomorrow's goals. Ameriprise Financial.
Everyone is at risk for enamel loss. When you drink or eat something that's acidic, it sucks the minerals out of the tooth surface. Pronamel is formulated to help deliver minerals to the tooth surface to help reharden and strengthen your enamel.
We made USAA insurance for veterans like Martin. When a hailstorm hit, he needed his insurance to get it done right away. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for. USAA.
I've been struggling with melasma since that I can remember, 2009. I had a really hard time looking at people in the eyes. I had a really hard time with walking with confidence. I always felt like people looked at me with pity. Like, wow, maybe without those spots, maybe she's pretty under there. And now I feel pretty. I promise you, this product works. You will not believe my before photo. This is me after muesli.
I love it. The technology is easy. I just wear a little sensor and that's it.
The Dexcom sends my glucose readings to my receiver every 5 minutes, and I can also get it on my smartphone.
It's totally private. No one knows.
Now it's easier being able to see what your numbers are at any time of the day.
You don't have to prick your fingers at all. It's amazing.
It really helps you take control of your life.
It has to move forward. Otherwise, it would come off as farcical, what this was all about. I'm not looking for any retribution, but I think it's important that there be certain basic standards that people at least are able to see what happened and make their own judgments.
President Biden speaking about the looming Trump trial, and one of the people making those judgments will be Senator Jeff Merkley, a Democrat from Oregon. Thank you for joining us. What are you looking to figure out or learn in this trial, or do you feel like most of the facts are clear now?
Well, I think the main witness is going to be the tapes of President Trump himself. What he said, and both verbally and in the context of the video of how he was doing it. This is about, did he incite an insurrection, and the connections between everything he said and urged, and the context of everything else he did to try to promote this mega lie, the stolen election, that is going to keep reverberating as a challenge for America for a long time to come.
Do you think there must be witnesses in this trial?
Well, that is where I think the president's own words are the key witness in terms of the impact it had on those who stormed the Capitol. Maybe some of those would be good witness to remind us that they were inspired by Trump. This was not a false flag operation. This was not an Antifa operation. This was core, solid MAGA Trump supporters following what they thought the president was commanding them to do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they were certainly MAGA, but let me press you on that. In fairness to something which is as high a constitutional bar as this is, which I know you care about, do you need to be reasonably certain that the president intended to incite the insurrection, rather than what you just said that I think most reasonable observers already know, which is these Trump fans came to Washington at his request and did what they thought he wanted them to do? Do you need to know he wanted them to do it?
Well, I think that I'm speaking as a non-lawyer, and of course we're going to be briefed by the lawyers on the points of the law, although in essence an impeachment trial is a bit about the political framework as well as it's not a criminal trial. Let me put it that way.
Sure.
And what we know is that he deliberately sought to create a tremendous reaction to his claim that the election was stolen. He tried to change the outcome in individual states by getting state legislators to change who they allocated the votes to. He called up folks, secretaries of states, and said, "Find me the votes." He pursued every possible avenue in this big lie of the election was stolen. And here's what we know from the last couple of days: his defense team resigned, his lawyers resigned, because Trump said, "I want you to keep promoting the big lie that the election was stolen and I'm the rightful president of the United States."
Yeah, I think you just drew us to a really important point, and if the trial is constructive for the country, maybe this will be discussed and explored next week, which is there's what happened on the 6th, a true tragedy, but there's also the wider plot of a president trying to become a dictator. He was thwarted, but what, if anything, does the country and the Senate do about that? Because he told us, and he's on tape, trying to become a dictator. Senator Merkley, thank you. We'll be keeping an eye, of course, on you on a busy week next week. Appreciate your time, and we will be right back.
Allergies with nasal congestion overwhelming you? Breathe more freely with powerful Claritin D. Claritin D improves nasal airflow 2 times more than the leading allergy spray at hour 1. Claritin D. Get more airflow.
Repair your enamel with Pronamel Repair. Our most advanced formula helps you brush in vital minerals to actively repair and strengthen enamel. So you don't just brush to clean, you brush to build. Pronamel Intensive Enamel Repair.
With UnitedHealthcare Medicare Advantage plans, there's more to take advantage of. Stay active with free home workout videos here and a free gym membership there.
Wow. Uh-huh.
UnitedHealthcare Medicare Advantage plans. Take advantage everywhere.
Wow.
Do we really need a sign to live, laugh, and love?
Yes.
The answer is no. I can help new homeowners not become their parents.
Kiana.
Nope.
Chloe Noah.
No. Joaquin. No. It just takes practice. Give it a shot. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
It's a constant battle. We're going to open a PDF. Who's next?
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle home and auto with us.
No fussin', no cussin', and no...
Light up your new year with a top-rated Cadillac, or choose the most awarded automotive luxury brand for initial quality according to J.D. Power on 2020 models, or shine your brightest with an iconic Cadillac SUV or sedan and make every drive a celebration.
Current eligible lessees get this low-mileage lease on this 2021 Cadillac XT6 for around $459 per month. Visit your local Cadillac dealer today.
I'm Norm.
I'm Saz.
And we live in Columbia, Missouri. We do consulting, but we also write.
We take care of ourselves constantly. It's important. We walk 3 to 5 times a week, a couple miles at a time.
We've both been taking Prevagen for a little more than 11 years now. After about 30 days of taking it, we noticed a clarity that we didn't notice before.
It's still helping me. I still notice a difference.
Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
These titans of industry fought their way to the top of the food chain.
'Cause there's only one king.
Unbelievable true stories
And there's only one
behind the brands you love.
And there ain't enough room for us both on the throne. It's about to go down.
He was a cutthroat, ruthless businessman.
The History Channel documentary series, The Food That Built America. Check your local listings.